Hello, fictional. Welcome to the fiction series X. Today we are gonna see what is Issei as a hybrid of a high-class devil. Part 2. If you end up liking this video, please consider subscribe, so without further ado, let's get into the video. After a day of training, both Issei and Sirzechs were sat at the dinner table. They were talking techniques. They were both sweating. For the last week Issei had been working with Sirzechs in training Issei physical strength. Issei was talking about human fightings that he liked, and Sirzechs was showing him how to infuse them into devil techniques. This conversation then turned into a talk about devil magic and how Issei could be taught the basic skills once he had more control over his dragon skill. The only way he could prove he had control over his dragon was to defeat Rainer. The wraith she brought to Issei made his body slightly reject the devil within. The food had been served and the pair didn't talk much. It wasn't until the end of meal that Sirzechs popped a sensitive question. Say Issei, I never got an answer from you. Do you love my sister? I said I would fight for her, didn't I? Issei replied. Yes you did, but that's the same. A servant would fight for their master if asked to, but someone who loves someone else would stand by them no matter what. They fight for them not only to protect them, but to make sure they stay by their side. So I'll ask again. Do you love Rias? I don't know, Issei started. Yes or no, listen to your heart, know your head. Sirzechs getting a funny look of Issei. What? Nothing. Okay look, yes I love Rias, but I know it can't be. Issei said looking at the floor. What makes you say that? Sirzechs asked. Because I'm a clanless and she part of the most power bloodline going. That and she engaged to the head of the second most powerful clan. Issei said getting even more hurt. And what's stopping you from fighting for her hand? You know she doesn't want the marriage to happen. Sirzechs stated in a matter-of-fact tone. You also know that you're not clanless, you are the leader of the dragons, a clan known for its strength. They were the first to lead the devils before the Lucifer took over and changed the code of our hierarchy. The Lucifer is the title given to the leader of the devils, as you know. If you build your strength in both body and mind, then you can restore your clan to its prime. It'll be a lot of work, but I believe you can do it. But first, like all high-ranking devils, you first learn to lead. Using the evil piece, yeah I know, but first I have to get a set, and no devil just going to be a set. Issei stated. Oh I know, but I can't let you follow someone who is learning to lead right now. These are the pawns of Rias. They are normally used on the weak but tactical, for you it will take all of them. They will help control your power. Normally they are used to slowly awaken the abilities of low-class devils, but for you they will help you control your power. Take them. Sirzechs said, handing Issei 8 pawns. The pawns changed to the color red and melted into Issei's body. Issei finally felt a control he had wanted for so long. I'm sorry Drake, I can't control all your power right now, I have to lock it away. Issei said. It's okay partner, I'm sorry for causing you so much pain. Drake stated. Alright Issei, let's go. You know the drill. Let's go to the gym. Sirzechs said as he opened a portal. 1 month later. Dragon burst. Issei yelled as he sent multiple dragon punches into Sirzechs as he could. Damn, not even a scratch. Sirzechs shot up into the air and smiled. You'll have to do better than that if you want to have Rias as your own. Razor might be the best option after all. Shut up, Issei yelled. Before a fire consumed him. That's it. Let the dragon flow through your veins. Sirzechs said as he landed on the ground. Scalemate evolution ready. Drake stated. As Issei sent a punch to Sirzechs' face. You're ready Issei, now go, Rias is waiting for you. Sirzechs said as he opened a portal to Rias' location. Issei looked at Sirzechs before smirking and entering the portal. Rias an hour before. Rias time is up, we must go the church. We don't have a choice, the fallen aren't one to break a promise of death. Kiba informed. He's right Rias. Akeno nodded. We have to wait for Issei, we can't do this without him. Rias said, not wanting to leave Issei behind. We know you love him, Rias, but the town must come first. Kinoko said as she put a hand on Rias. Rias looked down at the floor before taking a breath and strengthening her resolve. Please Issei, don't stay away. Alright guys, let's do this. At the church. Rias and the gang arrived at the old church and entered to find Rainer, and 3 other fallen were standing around a cross. On the cross was a blonde-haired girl who looked in pain. Look who decided to show up. I'm sorry you're too late, the twilight healing is mine, not even your dragon can help you now. Speaking of which, where is he? Rainer smiled, which Angia Rias. Shut up you fallen bitch. Kiba sword birth. Akeno bring the pain. Kinoko start punching. The trio followed their orders and Rias sent a ruining blast into group. The fight continued for another 10 minutes before a flash of red formed behind Rias. From its step Issei. He placed a hand on Rias' shoulder before he spoke. I'll handle this, get Kiba and Kinoko to step back, focus on the other 2, I'll handle Rainer. Issei walked forward and spoke. Rainer. Look who decided to show up. Now die. Rainer charged to Issei with great speed, only to be sent back by a kick from Issei. My turn. Scale male. Issei yelled as his body began to glow. Red Dragon Hunter, Type 2. Fallen Slayer. Issei new armor had more armor on it and offered more armor. Issei's speed was not damaged by this, and his body had spikes around it, adding more protection and damage. I will kill you now, Rainer. Issei charged into Rainer fist first. Issei fist hit her in the face, and Rainer's nose began to bleed black blood. Issei then waked over to her and sent a spiked boot into the head, the body vanished. But Issei looked up and Rainy in the sky holding a golden spear, she aimed it at his head and fell with it, giving it extra strength. Die. Not this time. Issei caught the spear and tossed it to the side. He caught Rainer by the throat and pulled his other hand back, summoning a spike to form on his wrist. He then sent it into Rainer's stomach. Expecting her to scream in pain, Rainer surprised Issei by smiling. Asia screamed as she was forced to use her twilight healing and heal Rainer's stomach wound. Sorry to disappoint you. But I can't die. Thanks to Asia over there. Rainer smiled. You bitch. Issei threw her to the side and walked over to her. You think that's going to stop me? Issei was enraged now, the power of wraith flowing through his veins. It just lets me pound you some more. Issei walked over to Rainer and picked her up by her hair. Making her scream in pain. Rias, get Asia out of here. Issei didn't see it, but Rias nodded. Akeno, you heard him, get the girl on the cross out of her. Kaneko, Kiba, help me finish off these fucking fallen assholes. Akeno flew towards Asia, untied her and flew away with Asia unconscious in her arms. Rias, Kiba and Kaneko finished off their targets. Issei answered Ria's call. Go, you're not going to want to see this. Rias waited a second before a tear formed in her eyes as she knew Issei was going away again. Kiba, Kaneko. Let's go. Once Rias and Ko were gone, Issei turned back to Rainer, who he was holding and using as a punching bag. Issei then removed his mask. Look into my eyes. Rainer was weak, but she did what she was told. Issei's eyes were that of a serpent. Piercing her very soul. These are the eyes of the leader of the dragons. I am here because you have brought pain to the innocent and must be punished. Issei paused for a moment, replacing his mask. But I am also the orphan of Rathiel and Cardiana. The human and devil general that you killed because they stood in your way. I am here to get revenge. Issei then slammed her face first into the ground. First I must take these. Issei began to rip of Rainer wings. This caused her to scream with pain like she had never felt. Issei did it slowly to make it more painful. Once the wings were removed, blood began to spill, however twilight healing healed Rainer, leaving her with bloody stumps on her back. Issei then picked Rainer up again by her hair. She then punched her in the gut again and again. Once he finally stopped, he tossed her to the ground. He walked over to the cross and ripped it out the ground. Issei struggled to carry it, but he walked over to Rainer, who was crying with pain. Please stop. She begged. Did you stop for my parents? Issei said as he dropped the cross onto of Rainer. However, her body was healing it over and over again. You really can't die. Issei walked over to Rainer's head. Let's see you heal from having your head ripped off. Wait. Rainer screamed. What, I thought you wanted to die, or do you want to live in constant pain? I'm fine with that. Issei spat. Kill me, yes, but I wanted to tell you something. It was Razor. Rainer started. Razor what? Razor ordered me to kill you and your parents. He know about your sacred gear and is scared of it. I told him you were dead so I could get paid. No, please just kill me. If you say so. Issei said as he once again grabbed Rainer's hair and pulled so hard that he ripped her head off. Which was something even twilight healing couldn't heal. Rias, I'm sorry I was too late. She's dying. Akeno said. Looks we have no choice, her sacred gear is too risky, too loose. Rias said before pulling out a bishop. Asia, you are close to death, I am here to save you from death. In return you must serve me as a servant. Welcome to the house of Gremory. Okay, let's her back to my house so we can heal her. Issei entered Sirzech's office. He threw the wings onto the desk. She dead? Sirzech asked. Yes, she dead now, I want Razor. Issei stated. Only way you are going to do that is if you learn to use your devil magic. Sirzech said. Then teach me. Issei said. I can't, but there is someone who can. Sirzech stated. Who? Issei asked. Your father. There has to be someone else who can train me. Come on. Issei begged. He wasn't going to get stronger if he couldn't use the powers of his clan. I'm sorry, but no. Sirzech stated. So what you're saying is I wasted my time, you cheated me. You said. Issei said, getting angry. I know what I said, and I keep my promises. Just because your father is doesn't mean he can't still teach you. Unlike the humans and angels who when they die they go start a new life in a new world, be it heaven, purgatory or earth again for the angels. Us devils get to stay being devils for a second lifetime. When we die we go deeper into the underworld. A place known as the dumping ground. It is filled with war and death. It's pretty empty scene as devils are always killing each other down there. Sirzech said. How does that help me? Issei spat. Well, I promise to help you learn more about your devil magic, and I always keep my promise. You see, as Demon King, I control all the underworld, including the dumping ground. I'm the only one with access. I can give this too, but of course it came at a price. Sirzechs. The deaths of Raynor and her fallen. Issei declared. Yes, and now they are gone, Azexel can move in and claim the territory. As for you. Take this. What is it? Issei asked, taking a small black compass from Sirzechs. It's a mini portal. It will give you limited access to the dumping ground. Don't worry, it got your father's location pinpointed. Sirzechs smiled. Thank you. But you do realize that's us done, no more contracts. Issei stated. I know, you're Rias' pawn now. Oh, before I forget. For your second reward, I reopened your father's bank and all his funds have been replaced. The name of course went to his heir, being you. I believe it called being set for life. Sirzechs then handed Issei a blue orb. Issei touched the orb and the light shined in his eyes, showing him all the gold in the vault that belonged to him. Thank you, if you don't mind I'll be going now, and Lord Lucifer. Thank you for everything. Issei then left before Sirzechs could say anything else. No problem. Brother. Sirzechs said with a smile. Dumping ground. Issei walked out of the portal and walked forwards. The dumping grounds were just that. It was a dump. There was no structure, just chaos. Rubble and death everywhere. As Issei walked, he saw a tall, well-built man standing on the edge of cliff away from the chaos behind him. The man had long brown hair like Issei, and Issei knew straight away who this was, but he had to check. Rathiel. Yes, that's me, and no, I won't help you in your fight, I don't feel like dying again. Rathiel said in a deep, cold voice. I'm not here about that, my name is Issei. Issei, I'm your Issei was nervous, but Rathiel turned round to look at Issei. Rathiel's eyes were sea green, and his face was calm and relaxed, unlike his voice, but his eyes looked like they were piecing your very being. My son. Rathiel's eyes began to water, and the old man ran toward Issei, lifting him off the floor with a bear hug. Issei could feel his ribs crushing. Sorry, Dad, but I don't feel like dying today either. Issei said jokingly. Oh yeah, sorry. It just I missed you, it's been what, 6 to 7 years since. You know. Rathiel said, but regretted it when he saw Issei pain. Son, I'm sorry. I did mean to upset you. Issei shook his head. No, it's fine. It's been a long 11 years, all I've done is train and get strong. Me and Drake have got revenge. Nothing else to kill me. Well, other than Razor. 11 years. Fuck. Issei. Rathiel was at a loss for words. Finding his son has gone 11 years without anyone to call family broke his heart. Dad's serious at fine, plus I met someone. Issei said with a blush, thinking about Rias. His dad then grow a pervert smile. Oh really, what her name? Rias Gremory. Wait, Rias Gremory's sister to Sirzechs. Well done, son. Rathiel said with a booming laugh. Yeah, and that's not all. I'm also the Red Dragon Emperor, or getting there. My balance break isn't strong enough yet. Which is why I'm here. I need the Dragon Clan's devil magic. You're the only one who can teach me. Well, my son. The Red Dragon Emperor, I'll be honored to teach you, but know this. I'm your teacher, not your father, I won't go easy on you. Rathiel said with a cold look. Issei smirked. Fine with me. Good, let's go. Rathiel said, jumping off the cliff. He used his wings to glide into a nearby cave. Dad, I can't fly. Issei stated. Didn't Sirzechs teach you anything? Get out your wings and just glide, boy. Issei gulped and did what he was told. He got out his wings and jumped. The winds allowed him to land next to his father. Well done, you have passed the first test, hatchling. Now come. Issei father led Issei into an open area of the cave. He then sat cross-legged in the middle of the opening. Issei joined his father. Close your eyes. Rathiel demanded. Issei did as he was told and waited for his next intrusion. In order to learn the magic of our clan, you must first understand the 3 strengths of a dragon, its fire, its voice and its wraith. Rathiel then took in a deep as if he was calming himself. All 3 must work as one. Fire for the attack and defense. Voice to send fear into your opponent and increase your senses. Wraith to increase its speed and strength. What happens if the dragon is out of balance? Issei asked. Then the dragon is nothing more than a lizard. Too much fire and you get burned. Our scales may be fire resistant, but our insides are not. Too much voice and you lose your senses. Without our sight, smell and hearing we can't react. Too much wraith and you lose control, you seek nothing but destruction. Rathiel then opened his eyes to look at his son. You have too much wraith. Your anger toward the fallen ones has made you lose your voice and weaken your fire. Issei was taken back by this. Help me, father. For a dragon to be fixed it must be first broke down. I'm sorry my son, but this won't be pleasant. Issei father then began to chant. Issei felt his body weak and his power be taken away. The more power that was taken, the weaker he got. It started to hurt and then it was torture, but Issei didn't scream out, he just gritted his teeth and bared with it. Raphael stopped chanting and Issei let out a breath. He opened his eyes and saw a red orb with 8 pawn pieces deep within it. Drake was gone as well. Issei felt empty as if his everything was taken, but then Rias entered his head. Her face alone gave him the strength he needed. Issei stood up and faced his father. What's next? Impressive, when my father did that to me I fainted and slept for a week. Okay, next we train. We rebuild you. We will know when you are fixed when this orb re-enters you. Raphael then charged at Issei. Issei was slower, but was able to block it. His training had began. Rias. Issei wasn't the only one training. After being shown up but Issei decided to hardcore training was needed, so her and her peerage left for some distant mountains to train. Kiba was to practice his magic, so he didn't rely on his sword more than his own skill as a devil. Kaneko was to train her defense. As much as a heavy hitter she was a good defense was a good offense. Asia was to learn everything about her new world. Akeno was stuck in the study learning new techniques and combinations of spells she could use. Rias decided to train her body in general. Strengthening her mind with knowledge. Training muscles in the gym and then the destructive magic at the top of the mountain. After a long few days train before everyone went to bed the gang decided to play a game. They played this game often and it was always a laugh. It was a game known as Truth or Dare. The darer would spin a bottle to find their target as them truth or dare and then either ask question of the darer's choice or a dare. Okay, seeing as I'm king I'll spin first. Rias said as she spun the bottle. The bottle landed on Asia. Alright Asia, truth or dare? Truth. Asia said, too scared to have to do something unwise. How long have you believed in the power of God? Rias asked. My whole life, for as long as I can remember. I was orphaned there and I was raised by the turn. Even when they kicked me out I still believed in God's power. Asia answered before spinning the bottle. It landed on Kaneko. Truth or dare Kaneko? Dare. Kaneko replied emotionless. Okay kiss Ria's foot. Just a smile peck. Rias stuck her foot up in response. Kaneko shrugged her shoulder before kissing Ria's big toe. Kaneko then spun the bottle and it landed on Kiba. Truth or dare? Dare, why not? Kiba replied. Kaneko pointed to the kitchen. Go make out with Akeno. Kiba went bright red before being dragged off by Akeno. They returned both with red face and breath heavily 5 minutes later. Kiba spun the bottle before it landed on Akeno. Truth or dare? Truth. Do you have a crush on anyone? Kiba asked. No. But there are a lot of people I would like to punish, you being one of them, prince of school. Akeno said seductively. Another time perhaps. Now spin. Kiba replied, his face now redder. Okay, Akeno spun the bottle and it landed on Rias. So Rias. If you had to marry any man you ever known, who would it be? Rias smiled and Issei popped into her head and she said his name way too quickly. My Rias, hope you're willing to share because he's another person I wish to punish. Akeno said, licking her lips. Not a chance. Rias spat before shaking her head and spinning the bottle. An hour later the game was at an end and no one got out of cleanly. Both Asia and Kiba were topless. Rias and Akeno were left in their underwear and Kaneko had made out with every member of the peerage at least twice and the number of secret that had been revealed, we made everyone shiver. Everyone then went to bed to escape the awkwardness. Once Rias was in bed all she could think about was Issei and how he just left her. Her thoughts then turned to Razor. She was meant to marry in a month and a half, but it was a month until the engagement party. After some time she managed to sleep, she dreamed about Issei crashing the party and saving her from a life with Razor. It had been a month and Issei had mastered his wrath, he had learned to control it and make sure he didn't just get angry for no reason. Issei was now trying his best to use his fire, with his wraith under control, he knew the burning flame within him wanted to be released. It had taken some time but he was successful. Dragon shot. Issei called out as a small fireball was sent to the target Raphael had set up. As soon as the fireball hit the target burst into flame, the next thing Issei heard was his father clapping. Well done son, now with the fire mostly under control you can move on to your voice. Issei father said as he sat down cross-legged. Your doesn't come from your lungs like your fire and not from your heart like your wraith, it comes from your head. The dragon within is connected to our ancestors. They know every that has happened in your life and work as memory banks. The voice allows you to be connected to everything, you will be able to smell a fallen angel, hear the heart of a human, and see the glow of a devil. The ancestors will tell your body what you are looking at and how to react. Issei nodded but had a question. I see how it helps my sense, but how does voices inside my head help me put fear into my opponent? Well my son, you see, a dragon may be able to hear their ancestors, but they also hear the voice of the living, and with a bit of concentration, you can get inside their head and leave a message. You can also leave a memory. That is what I want you to learn. I want you to allow the voices to enter you and I want you to give me the memories of your life. I want to know your life since I died. Issei father said, keeping his eyes closed and waiting patiently. Issei looked at this father and took a breath. He focused on his inner dragon, letting Drake lead the way. Slowly Issei slipped into an empty void and saw hundred upon thousands of ghosts, all talking at once. For Issei it was too much and got rejected from the void. I can't do it, these too many voices to be heard. Issei said holding his head in pain. Then silence them and look for my voice. Make the voices enter you in your own time. This isn't your fire, you don't have to force it, here you are in control. Raphael instructed Issei. Issei tried again entering the void and he tried to silence the voice but he failed, however he did turn them into whispers and were more bearable. Issei passed through the void until he found a wall. He sensed the essences of his father behind it. Issei used as much power as he could to break the wall. The headache grew worse the longer Issei tried to break the fall to his father. Issei endured the pain and focused on shattering the block to his father. Just before the headache grew too much the wall shattered and Issei entered. He was flooded with happiness and smiled at his success. Issei then allowed all of his ancestors to deliver what they need to, and the puzzle became whole, the story to Issei life was given to Raphael. Issei then left the void returning to reality. Good, well done son, but this is only the beginning, I want you to spend some time learning from the voices, learn everything you can. Raphael ordered as he stood up. How will I know when I have learned all there is to know? Issei asked. You will either die or the power orb will re-enter you. Raphael stated. Great. Issei said simply before closing his eyes and entering the void. Raphael on the other hand was going to go through the life of his son and see what he had missed over the 11 years. Grace was lying in bed smiling, she was going over what had happened in their game of truth and dare, her face went red when she thought about marrying Issei, but it also caused her pain. The fact she was engaged to Razor and it was going to be made official in less than a week's time. With Issei gone there was no one to stop it from happening. Rias rolled over in bed, her mind again moved back to Issei and all the ways he would save her from the torturous life she had ahead of her. But then her mind moved away from that, it moved to Issei marrying her carrying his children, and them having sex together become one. Rias felt herself wetten at the thought of this and slowly her hand moved down and began to massage her clit. The rest of the night was her moaning Issei's name and her massaging herself. The next day, Rias awoke with her hand still on her clit and her realizing her had little to no sleep. Forcing herself out of bed, Rias headed to meet the others. She entered the kitchen of the cabin group shared, but where she expected to be laughter and joy she found silence, and the closer she got to her peerage, the closer she got to finding out why this was. As soon as Rias entered the living room she found Razor and his peerage staring down Rias' peerage. Where is she? Razor spat. I'm right here. Razor, leave Akeno out of our business. Rias demanded. You don't get to make demands, and when we marry you peerage becomes part of mine, so your pretty friends here get to have some fun with us, or just me. I haven't decided yet. Razor said as he licked his lips. Don't you dare lay a finger on Akeno, Kaneko or Asia or else. Rias spat. Or else what, my dear? Razor smirked. Or else I won't marry you. Rias said. You don't have a choice, darling. It was arranged before your birth and when the Phoenix clan joined the Chaos clan, no one will be able to stop us, think of the power your children will bear. Razor said licking his lips. Rias gagged at the thought of having Razor's children but didn't say anything. Now come along, we have to get you all fitted and ready for the engagement party in 2 days. Razor opened a portal and everyone flooded into it. Please Issei, save me, Rias begged internally. Issei. 2 days later. Issei exited the void after spending 2 days listening to the voices. Hearing what they had to say and what they had to teach. It was when Issei excited he found he was floating with his devil wings spread. You've been like that for the last 24 hours. Raphael smirked. I remember one of the voices tell me how to fly and another tell me how to. Issei then focused his voice into his father head. Use my one voice to enter people head. Can you hear what I'm saying? Yes my son, I can hear you. Raphael said aloud. I'm sorry Issei, but that is all I am able to teach you. Without a blank canvas the power of the dragon can't be finished. Normally you would have learned to use the 3 basic parts at the age of 10. However since I died it cannot be. I'm sorry son. Raphael said feeling like he failed his son. It's okay dad. It wasn't your fault. Issei said comforting his father. Yes it was, if I didn't let your mother get too close I might be able to train you probably. Issei, promise something. Raphael said seriously. Of course father. Promise me you won't search for your mother, she's dangerous, okay, just stay away. Raphael ordered. Issei looked at his father strangely before nodding his head. I promise. Issei father nodded and smiled. Now go, your future mate is waiting for you. Issei nodded and turned to leave. As he did so Sirzechs appeared. Issei. I need you to come quickly. What is it? Issei asked. Ria's engagement party is starting and I need you to crash. Lead the way. Issei said pointing his hand forward. Goodbye father. Sirzechs' office. Issei and Sirzechs sat in the office. Sirzechs told Issei about Razor and how Issei was going to go to the party which started in 2 hours and start a fight with Razor. He was only to do it when Razor did some inappropriate and he was to test his power. Issei was to win the battle if he want Rias. Issei agreed and Sirzechs handed him a ticket. Issei, you have 2 hours to get ready. Go. Understood. Issei then rushed out the door and got ready for the party he was soon going to fuck up. Issei arrived at the Phoenix family home in a limo provided by Sirzechs. Issei got out the car and pulled on the collar of his blazer. Issei was currently wearing a white button shirt, he had the 2 top buttons undue showing the top of his toned chest. He also wore a black blazer over the top of his shirt. He wore black dress trousers and smart black shoes. Issei decided to let his hair down for the event, the length of it reached the top of his shoulders. Issei thought that he looked pretty dapper and knew if the girls at school saw him now they wouldn't hesitate to bounce him. Issei jogged up the stairs to the mansion, which was more like a castle. Issei then made his way through the front door where he flashed his invite and followed the servant to the main hall. The size of the room could fit hundreds of people and it was a good thing too because Issei was told about 300 devils were coming to this party. Once Issei had finished admiring the view, the head butler came up to him. Is everything alright with you, sire? Oh yes, just fine, just thinking with great power comes lots of money. Issei said, trying to make a joke. Which seemed to work. Haha, yes, the phoenixes are quite powerful and have a large amount of money. Now if you would excuse me. The butler said before smiling and taking his leave. Once the butler had left, Issei made his way into the crowd. He walked over to a table and pulled himself a glass of champagne from one of the waitress. Issei leaned on the table and watched. It took him a while, but he found Razor. Once he had done so, Issei moved into a social circle and made a fake conversation. Listening more to Razor, slowly his anger increased as he heard him flirt and grope a girl. He knew it wasn't Rias and it angered him that her family had decided to marry her to this man. About half an hour passed and Issei was moving from circle to circle following Razor, making sure he could act when the time was right. It was then Razor got the attention of the crowd. Ladies and gentlemen. May I introduce my bride to be Rias Gremory. Out from a doorway which was behind a wall not too far from Razor came a sad and angry looking Rias. She was currently wearing a pure white corset with white panties and nothing else. This was to be what she was going to wear to her wedding, it looked more like an outfit for a prostitute. Issei's blood began to boil, but he decided not to act just yet. However, he decided to send a message to Rias. Issei entered the voice and connect to Rias' head. It was then when he showed her what he planned to do. To her it was a message. Rias, I'm sorry for bringing gone for so long. I'm going to free you from this bastard, so when I act don't react, just stay calm. Issei watched Rias flinch at the voice of Issei in her head but listened to it. However, she did look for him in the crowd. Issei didn't allow her to see him and stayed in the shadows of his current group. After another 10 minutes Issei was losing his cool as he heard Razor move from the girl he was having fun with before to Rias. He began to grope her and embarrass her in front of all his friends. Razor's hand began to slide into Rias' panties and when she started to beg him to stop, Issei snapped. He moved out of his social group and ripped Razor's hand from Rias' body. Are you deaf or something, dickhead? Can't you hear she doesn't want you to do that? Razor spat in Issei's face. And what give you the right to stop me? She my bride, after all I can do what I want to her. Issei then lost it and punched Razor in the face. You piece of filth. I should kill you right now. It was then Sirzechs showed up. Gentlemen, please, stop this at once. It's time for the main event. Sirzechs clapped his hands and Razor was sent into arena, the crowd were sent into crowd stands. Issei stood next to Sirzechs and Rias. What is this? Razor protested. Sirzechs then raised his voice to make Razor hear him. This is the test you want. I have chosen a pawn for Rias and you are to fight them to the death. The winner, seeing as they are only one left alive, gets to have Rias' hand in marriage. So be it. Which one of these puny bastards is it then? Razor said, smirking. Issei took the lead. It's me, you motherfucker. Ah, the worm, you thinks they are in charge. Who are you anyway? Razor asked, laughing. Issei smirked. My name is Issei Haidu. Son of Raphael Haidu. I am the head of the dragon clan and the Welsh dragon emperor. Issei then activated this scared gear and began to boost. He then sent a message into Razor's head. I know you hired Raynor to kill my family, I'm going to make you pay for that. Issei also decided to leave memories of him killing Raynor into his head, which make Rias flash with fear before getting anger. You think you can kill me? I'm a phoenix, I'm immortal. Just means I can hit you around a bit more. Issei taunted. Why you? Razor charged to Issei. Sending a power punch in his direction, Issei dodged it and got behind Razor. Issei then sent a powerful kick into his back, which sent Rias to his knee. Issei backed off a little bit, he allowed Razor to get up, he wanted to beat Razor, but he wasn't going to play dirty. Just yet. Once Razor was standing, he smirked and looked over to his peerage. Ladies, come help me and I'll reward you with something special tonight. Razor then looked over Rias, that goes for you too. Rias turned her head in a refusing way, but then spoke to her brother. Please let me help Issei. No, just watch him. If Issei goes down then you may help your pawn, but until then stay put. Sirzech's was loud and firm, but he wore a comforting smile. Rias huffed and went back to watching the fight. All of Razor's peerage stood on the battlefield next to Razor. Issei smirked and taunted. I thought this was to be a fair fight, have I got you scared, Razor? No, of course not. Just didn't want to get my face damaged, might delay the wedding. Razor spoke. Issei didn't get a chance to say anything as Razor signaled to attack. All the girl charged and Issei began to duck, dive and dodge. The voices in his head warned him of most of the attacks coming his way, allowing him to move out the way, avoiding it. However, the voices could warn him of all the attacks, so Issei got high every so often. Issei was refusing to attack, he was waiting for his scale mail to be ready so he wouldn't use up too much energy. Boost. Issei felt his power grow. His speed increased and Issei dodged again. However, Razor was waiting for him. Razor slammed a glass bottle onto Issei's sacred gear, which made his arm begin to burn slightly. Holy water, Issei thought to himself. How are you not in pain? That holy water should be burning through your arm right now. Razor flicked. I'm part dragon and part human. Holy water does hurt me, but not as much as it will hurt you. Issei said as he placed his sacred gear on Razor's face. Razor began to cry out in pain as his face began to burn. Issei smirked and watched Razor crumble to the floor. It was then he was sent flying, but a combined attack from Razor's peerage. Issei was sent into a nearby wall. As Issei climbed out of the wall, Drake spoke through the sacred gear. Boost scale mail full power. Issei smirked. Let's see if Dad's training helped unlock it. Scale mail promotion, Red Dragon Emperor. Issei's body began to glow as his armor equipped. And Issei now wearing the armor in an ime. Issei then spread his wings and flew at top speed towards Razor and his peerage. Dragon Slam. As Issei hit his targets, a giant explosion erupted. And all of Razor's peerage were caught. Some teleported them out of the way, leaving Issei and Razor to fight without any obstacles. During the explosion, Razor was sent into a wall and he was now pulling himself of it. He grunted and wiped his nose of purple blood. Razor then yelled a war cry and spread his wings. Let's see who's faster, me or you. Razor flew up into the air and Issei followed suit. Both were throwing punches where Razor had experience in flying, Issei had speed and strength. Using this to his advantage, Issei flew up into the air ahead of Razor and then flipped over. He then flew into Razor using his speed to catch him off guard. Somehow it worked and Issei used his strength to keep hold of Razor. As the duo flew into the ground, they became a blur, and as soon as they hit the ground, a shock wave occurred and a crater was formed. From it, Issei flew into the air and Razor laid there crooked and broken. Issei looked at him as the smoke cleared. Sirzechs then spoke up. Finish him, Issei, and Rias will be yours. Issei shocked his head. No, I won't kill him so I can have Rias. I will have Rias if she chose to have me. However, you might want to pick a punishment for him. What for? Sirzechs asked. This. Issei then sent all he had learned about the killing of his parents to Sirzechs. I see. So be it, leave it to me. However, Rias, it now falls to you. Do you want to go with Issei or allow your family find? Sirzechs was stopped by Rias. I chose Issei a long time ago, brother. Now leave us. Don't you have some devils to lead? Of course, and Issei return the griffins when you're done. Sirzechs said as he left. What are you? However, it was too late. Sirzechs was gone. Issei landed on the ground. The crater was now empty and Issei smiled. Issei relaxed, letting his armor rumble. His body now weak from all the training and fighting, Issei began to faint before Rias caught him. She rested him on her lap and combed his long untied hair with her fingers. You know you have a lot of explaining to do. Issei laughed tiredly. Yeah, I know, I want to sleep for at least a week first. Yes, you can finally rest now. Just me and you. Issei, tell me. You say you wanted me. Is that as your master or your lover? Rias asked. Ah well, I didn't have a choice if you're my master. Lover, however, I could think of anything better. Issei said as the griffins arrived. Rias' peerage got on one, and yes, they were there, just kept quiet, letting the couple have their moment. And Issei and Rias got on the other. The griffins entered a portal before arriving at their home. Issei and Rias got into Issei's bed and they laid there spooning. You know you can't go anywhere without me, right? I don't care what you're doing, I'm coming with you. Rias said with a serious look. Not everywhere, I hope some see it a little bit uncomfortable and controlling. Issei joked. Yeah. Quite you, I worry, okay. Rias said, making a cute face. Issei smiled and moved to kiss Rias. It caught her off guard, but slowly she kissed back. The kiss was soft but passionate. It didn't go further than lip sucking, but the duo enjoyed it. Once they broke, they smiled to each other. I love you, Rias Gremory. I love you too. Issei Haidu. The pair then fell asleep and holding each other closely. Happy to be together. Issei awoken with Rias' naked body wrapped round him. He smiled to himself, it had been a week and their relationship had developed quickly. Issei wormed his way out of Ria's grip and thought back to a couple of days ago. 6 days earlier. Issei awoke alone in bed. He tried to find the will to remove himself from the comfort of his covers. However, after 5 minutes of tossing and turning in bed, he began to smell bacon. It quickly made him jump out of bed. He chucked on a t-shirt and walked downstairs. He was wearing a t-shirt and a pair of boxers when he got to the kitchen and Rias saw him. She smirked. Although she seemed to be fully dressed, he could tell her underwear was missing. Her nipples were poking out of top and he simple guessed she wasn't wearing panties. I see the power of bacon works on you. Great, another weakness you know about. Issei said as he kissed her cheek. I know more than one. Rias joked. Of course. I mean, if you couldn't tell, but you have me wrapped round your finger. Issei whispered coolly in her ear. Rias smirked. I would rather be wrapped round you, but having your powerful body wrapped round part of me makes me feel hot. Issei laughed and flipped the bacon which Rias had forgotten about. He then grabbed a piece and stuck in his mouth before walking away back to his room. Rias took the rest of the bacon off and followed Issei. She found him back in bed and sighed to herself. Issei, get up. Issei moaned. Why? You sound like a child, and if you don't get up I'll dump my things on you. Rias said, leaning in the doorway. Your things? Issei asked questionably. Oh, you didn't guess. I can't stand to be away from you, and so I decided to sleep with you. Rias said as she left to her room. Wait, what? Issei called out as he felt his dragon instincts begin to kick in. He took a breath and suppressed them before he got out of bed, slipped his t-shirt back on before going to help Rias. 2 hours later. Issei walked into his room carrying Ria's wardrobe. After emptying it, Issei was forced by Rias to carry it into his room and place it in a very perfect place. It was then when the pair spent another 2 hours loading the wardrobe with clothes. There were a few times Issei had found some form of erotic clothing and would tease Rias with it before putting it where she wanted it, hidden in the depth of the wardrobe. Once they were finished, Issei walked over to his bed and lifted it up. He scanned the area for something and then put the bed down. He then walked over to the side of it and started pulling stuff out from underneath it. It was then he pulled a plastic tub from his bed. He placed it on the bed before putting all the other stuff back into under the bed. What's that? Rias asked. This is the best console of all time. My PlayStation 2. Issei said with a smirk before going behind his TV and replacing all the plugs. What's it for? Rias was getting confused. It's for us to have some fun and relax. Hopefully. Issei put the disc in and after a little while a title screen came up. Sonic Heroes. And first game I ever played. Issei, what do I do? Press the X button. Issei instructed. It was going to be a very long few hours. That evening. It was now 10 at night and Issei had replaced the console under his bed. The event had caused much pain for Issei, but after a while and once Rias got what she was doing, the game became fun to play for both of them. Okay, I think I'm going to hit the hay. Issei said as he stretched out. He then walked over to his wardrobe and grabbed a pair of boxers before heading into the ensuite. Rias just stood there awkwardly and waited for Issei to come out. Once he did, Issei got into bed making room for Rias to go next to him. Rias' next action made Issei jump. Rias slowly started to strip down to the nude. Rias, what are you doing? Getting ready for bed, I always sleep naked. It was then she saw Issei's red face. Oh come on Issei, you seen me half naked already, and the number of times you come into the bathroom when I taking a bath. In the ensuite, and you're right, I have but never had a chance to watch you strip down. I mean, it a wonderful sight, but Issei decided to hold back on telling her his dragon instincts were skyrocketing now. Rias shrugged her shoulders before getting to bed. She rested August Issei. She let her hand brush Issei member before smirking. I can fix that for you. No, not tonight. Issei whispered with all his might as he held back. The pair, some faster than others, fell asleep for the night. Present. Rias awoke to find Issei missing. She first checked the ensuite. She saw he was in there, so she decided to search for him. She first slipped on one of Issei's black t-shirts he had loose on the floor, and after some searching in the depths of her wardrobe to find a thong made of very little fabric. It wasn't hard to find Issei, his grunting gave him away. She found him in the gym. Topless and very sweaty. Rias then hatched a plan. Issei was currently doing some weights. He had his music playing in his headphones full blast, and it allowed him to zone out as he worked out. However, it also helped Rias sneak up on Issei and sit on his crotch. She felt his member shoot up and rub on her opening. She helped Issei lift up the dumbbell before Issei pulled out his headphones. Do you have any idea how hard you make my life? Yes, and it would become much easier if you just stopped resisting. Rias said as she kissed his neck. Why do you want to have sex with me so much? We've been together for like a week. Issei asked. I'm a teenage devil, my hormones are very high, and seeing as I found the person I want to be with the rest of my life, my body has gone into overdrive. Rias said lustfully. But worse for me, trust me. Issei commented. Then just give in. Rias moaned as he moved to kiss his lips as her hand moved to the top of his trousers. Stop. Issei ordered as he broke the kiss. What's wrong? Stop beating round the bush and tell me. Why can't we just do it? Rias huffed. I guess if want to do it so bad I need to tell you. Follow me. Issei said as he gestured Rias to get off him. She did so and he led the way to the room's secret room under his house. When the pair entered the dimly lit room, Issei told her what this room was and explained to her about his mother and more on his father. He then led her to a room off this one. It was very dark and Rias walked in first wondering where Issei had led her. This is my father library. I might have a few books hidden in that bookshelf, but this is the full collection. Everything my father knew about my family, devils, human and fallen. I spent my first year in this house in this room reading these books, and this one is the reason why I can't bring myself to have sex with you. I want you to know what it means for you. Issei said as he turned the light on and room full of bookshelves were relieved. Rias looked like she was in heaven. Issei then handed her a book which was titled, For Those Who Wish to Become a Dragon's Mate. Issei, what is this? Rias asked. That is a book about what happens if a dragon has sex with a girl he plans on spending his life with. Issei said as he took the book back and flicked through the pages. What do you mean? Rias asked. Read. Issei said simply and Rias did so. The dragon, a powerful creature. They attract a lot of attention and are known to have harems. However, they will only ever have one mate. This mate can be of any species and race. When the dragon has chosen this person, their instincts take over and their body get a boost in power. Without control, a dragon would go crazy with lust. However, those who wait get what they were after. They get their mate. However, this isn't a pleasant experience. When a mate is chosen, the dragon will send its essence into the person, causes their body to change into that of a dragon. It will allow the mate to bear the dragon children and see what their mate lives with. If a dragon doesn't help their mate, there is a high chance that mate can die. Most do. In simple terms, don't mate a dragon if you like your simple life. Rias finished reading the confusing paragraph a third time before looking into Issei's eyes. You think this book is going to stop me? I don't care if you change my body. I know you will protect me and make sure I live. Rias, you don't understand. If you do this, we can never go back. I will be mated to you, and it's for life. If you do anything against me, I will kill you. But then I will kill any you dare to harm you too. You don't think I would do the same? It might not be forced by nature, but I would die for you. And I will kill you if you ever cheat. Rias said seriously. I'm not going to stop you, am I? Issei said a little saddened. No, you're not. Issei, look at me. Issei did as he was told. I love you, and you shown you love me. I get you're scared of what might happen to me, but we have to trust it going to be okay. If want to wait a little bit longer, that's fine, but no, I'm right here. Talk to me about these things. Issei looked at Rias blankly for a few moments before opening the voice void. He found Rias in the voice and entered her mind. She suddenly felt everything he felt, all the pain, the sadness and all the love. If we are going to do this, then we have to be connected. Rias could feel all of Issei's doubts fade away and his confidence grow. Rias did wait before teleporting the pair to their room and jumping on Issei. She slammed her lips into his and kissed him with all the passion she could. Issei did the same and their tongues entered a battle of dominance. The pair had to break for air and Issei flipped their positions, so he was on top. He then ripped off his top from Rias and attacked her nipples, sucking and nibbling on them. Her moans fueled his fire and he became rougher, removing his lips and kissing down Rias' stomach. As he reached the hem of the fabric she wore, Issei rubbed the area of Rias' womanhood. This caused Rias to scream in pleasure. The fabric she swore had suddenly become every wet. Rias decided to just remove it now. After Rias' orgasm, she looked at Issei lustfully. My turn, was the look she gave as she moved. Issei was on his back and Rias slowly kissed down Issei's chest. As she did so, she made sure to pull out Issei's cock, ready for her next action. Rias moved her lips over his cock and began to peck it softly. If she was honest, she didn't like the flavor of his dick, but she put it to the back of her mind as she opened her mouth and began to bob her head. She was rewarded with moans and grunts from Issei, and in return she moved her head faster, sucking on him harder. It was another 5 minutes before Issei warned her he was coming, but that didn't stop Rias. She waited for him to explode in her mouth before she drank every drop of. Issei had enough. Playtime was over and Rias knew it. However, Issei let Rias take control over their first time. But she wasn't carefully about it. Instead, she positioned her felt over the cock and then sent it into her womanhood quick and fast. Her spit acting like a lube allowed it to slide easily, but there was still pain from losing her virginity. Rias sat still until the pain subsided and then back to move. Her grinds were slow to begin with. She moved up and down, making sure Issei didn't fall out. As the pleasure built, she started to move faster and the Issei slapped his hands onto her hips and held her in place as she moved. Using her hips as a guide, Issei began to thrust into Rias. Match her speed. They both moaned loudly and this carried on for the next 30. Loved it. Were disappointed when Issei told Rias to be ready. Rias nodded. Fear was starting to build within her. Issei kissed her in hopes of calming her and it worked kind of. Then Issei came. Along with Rias. The pleasure was too much, both screamed out each of their name. Issei broke the link between them and moved so Rias to cuddle to him. Rias laid down comfortably. I love you, Issei. Issei could hear her becoming weaker, but he gave her a soft smile. I love you too, Rias. And he watched Rias slip out of consensus. Issei then stood by her side watching over her until she woke up. Some unknown dark alley. We found the boy. A fallen angel reported. He lives with the Gremory girl. Another reported. You have both done well. Finding my son and his mate. Kateria said smiley evilly. End of the part 3. So how was this story? I hope you like it. And if you like it, share this story with your friends and like the video too. And don't forget to subscribe our channel for daily awesome fanfiction. Okay, it's time for me to go. Bye bye.